Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Anson and Paul's big end of the year wrap-up podcast. I am Anson Chan.
I'm Paul Morgan.
And for today's wrap-up, we are asking each other a couple questions that we may or may not have read beforehand. So, I guess we'll start with some of mine. Paul, what was the favorite movie you watched this year for the podcast?
I think probably We Need to Talk About Kevin is the one I gotta go with. That was one of the only ones we watched this year that I hadn't seen, and it was just so inventive and devastating and interesting. I've never seen anything quite like it, I don't think. It really blew me away. What about you? What stood out this year for you?
For me, it was Schenectady, New York. That is such a beautiful movie, haunting, and it made me think a lot based on like the way he needs to reflect on his life, and I don't know, just the overall message, although albeit gloomy, is just so satisfying that I had a lot of fun watching and thinking about it. Yeah, that was a great one. Really love that movie.
I think that if I could be so bold, we should try next year to watch more movies written by Charlie Kaufman. He's a really interesting guy, and he's made some really interesting shit. I've seen a couple of the movies he's written, but I definitely haven't seen all of them, so I really am eager to see what else he has in that brain of his.
Yeah, that sounds great. Paul, what was your least favorite movie that you watched for the podcast this year?
I wrote down two movies for this. Last Tango in Paris, which just, I don't even know what prompted that to be on our list, but I just did not enjoy most of it.
And in 1973, he followed The Godfather with another powerful, and this time highly personal performance. In the explosive erotic drama, Last Tango in Paris, directed by Bernardo Bertolucci, Brando channeled his own rage-driven childhood to improvise the character of a businessman pulled into a self-destructive love affair.
He drew from his life, his memories. It was a lot about his relationship with his father. I think that this particular performance is his greatest act of self-revelation, whereas with Godfather, it's his greatest disguised performance.
Especially the non-consensual sexual activity.
The butter rape. The butter rape.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, but for a much different reason, Tokyo Story.
My video pick this week is so special to me that it's on my list of the 10 greatest films of all time, and it was also named in the Sight and Sound poll of the world's critics and directors. It's Tokyo Story, made 50 years ago this year by the great Japanese director Yasujiro Ozu, and I've never seen it without somebody crying in the audience. Sometimes it was me.
It was just like, it was in bad quality black and white with static cameras and conversation the likes of which I cannot stand, which is just the boring, polite catch-up conversation. I tried really hard to find redeeming stuff in it, but sometimes a movie is so old that it just needs to catch up to modern filmmaking techniques to be watchable, and it just wasn't.
But the butter rape scene was very tasteful in Tokyo Story.
Yeah, exactly. It was much better in that one.
It's better shot in black and white.
Yeah. Oh, man. What was your least favorite podcast movie?
Antichrist. Antichrist was a pain to watch, and I felt miserable watching it.
You didn't like Willem Dafoe ejaculating blood?
Can't say that I did, Paul. Can't say that I did.
Well, that's disappointing.
Yeah, that's not something I have to confront on a daily basis, and the least the better. I don't know. It just felt... There are often
times to see a movie so grounded in reality.
I guess maybe that's why it's too hard to watch. No, there are movies at times that like I'm like, oh fuck, can we get this over with? And that's
Yeah.
a movie that I got that sense of while watching, and also it was also just gross and nasty and like not a huge fan. I don't know. It made me just feel really. I don't know if I felt nauseous, but that's kind of close to the sense I was getting. I was pissed off and sickened. So
What a combo.
yeah, so that would be my least favorite of the year. What was your favorite movie? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask one real quick. Did you have any movies that came out this year that you really wanted to see but you didn't see?
Yeah, actually, that I'll need to go to the internet for, but let's see.
Yeah, feel free to do some perusing. There's a good IMDb list of the top 200 movies that came out this year.
Yeah, okay. I can rattle them off for you, and I won't really go into it, but
Yeah, maybe give a brief thing about each one. Just what it was about, what made you want to see it.
Sherlock Gnome, that's a
Oh, God.
blockbuster heart stopper. I really wanted to see it, never got a chance to go. Hotel Transylvania 3, I was really looking forward to.
I actually saw that and it was fucking terrible. It was so hard to watch. I saw it when I had Movie Pass though, so luckily I didn't pay for it.
Nice. But in all seriousness, Deadpool 2, that's one. I love Deadpool 1, never got around to seeing Deadpool 2. Incredibles 2, really wanted to see that, waiting for it to be
Incredibles 2 is good.
Yeah, I want that
The
to be on
Pixar
Netflix.
short that came before that one, it made me cry in the theater, and I was just me and a bunch of kids and their parents.
Oh, man.
And I was just sobbing.
Brutal.
Yeah.
The Commuter, starring Liam Neeson. I love all the stupid spin-offs of Taken that have come out, and it's so dated, but that genre just gets my gipper. There's the one with Daniel, or what's his name? Washington? What's his name? Denzel Washington. Yeah, that was fucking great. The Equalizer. He works at
they came out with
Home
a sequel
Depot.
for that this year.
Oh, I really want to see that then. So that and The Commuter. Black Klansman, I was curious about.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to see that too.
Yeah, there's the other one that came out around the same time too. Sorry for something or other.
Sorry to bother you?
Sorry to bother you. Yeah, I wanted to see that one.
That was on my list of movies I wanted to see, but didn't as well.
Out of morbid curiosity, I wanted to see the Justice League, although I know I would have hated it.
Oh, dude, I've seen that a couple times now. It's not very good.
Yeah, I wanted to see it just to see how bad it could be.
It's just a mess, dude. I don't know what the heck is the deal with DC movies, but
Yeah,
ever since they stopped making Christopher Nolan the person in charge of Batman, the DC movies have all sucked.
Yeah, it's like the Sega and Nintendo wars, or the Sonic versus Mario kind of concept.
Yeah, it's like they just need to come up with their own thing and stop trying to do what the other person's doing.
Yeah, Sonic just can't get their shit together. DC is the same way. They're just looking at the competition and not understanding why. The shot calls are just terrible.
Yeah, I agree. Really bad.
The other one I really wanted to see was Bad Time at the El Royale. That looked very interesting. Yeah, like a murder mystery with a bunch of funny, wacky characters, a la Hateful Eight kind of vibes I'm getting. I really wanted to see that.
Huh.
Yeah, but never got a chance to. Were there any that you wanted to check out this year that you didn't get a chance to?
Yeah, I have a small list. First on the list is Eighth Grade. It's a movie by Bo Burnham, who I am just some fucking dude, so don't listen to me necessarily, but I think Bo Burnham might be one of the smartest stand-up comedians working today. And he made that movie. It got almost universal acclaim when it came out. Won't You Be My Neighbor, the Mr. Rogers documentary.
Oh, that too.
Really wanted to see that. Did not see it. Crazy Rich Asians. I wanted to see it just because there's been a lot of talk about how Asian people kind of get fucked by Hollywood unless they're playing a complete stereotype of their culture. And I kind of thought it would be nice to see a movie where that was not the case. Smallfoot, It was a DreamWorks, I think, animated movie about Sasquatches who discover that humans exist. So the premise being like Channing Tatum, I think, plays the lead, and he is a Sasquatch, and he goes into, at the bottom of the mountain where they live, and he sees a human being, and he rushes back to tell them, you guys, I had a real Smallfoot sighting, and they're like, yeah, bullshit, that didn't happen, The Sisters Brothers. I do not know why I wanted to see that movie, but the preview made me just feel really excited. It was Jake Gyllenhaal, Riz Ahmed, John C. Reilly, and Joaquin Phoenix, and it was like a black comedy, horror comedy sort of thing, set in the Wild West. Like,
What
that
movie was
sounds. It's called The Sisters Brothers. So once again, that cast: John C. Reilly, Joaquin Phoenix, Jake Gyllenhaal, Riz Ahmed. Like,
What a cast.
that's an incredible cast, and it's
Oh
a
my God.
dark comedy in the American West. Like, that is so up my alley. We're practically bowling.
Ha ha ha.
Okay, couple more on my list. Sorry to Bother You, we already talked about. Mid-90s was a movie that Jonah Hill made about skateboard culture and like mixtape culture in the 90s. I will gladly follow Jonah Hill wherever he goes in the movie business. So I'm glad that he got to make a movie. And then the very last one, and this one actually pisses me off, They Shall Not Grow Old. They Shall Not Grow Old is a movie wherein Peter Jackson, the helmer of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, took like 200 hours or something like that of original World War I footage. So like when they did not have great cameras and, didn't bring sound recording and stuff like that, restored it all, made it full HD. And the reason this makes me mad that I didn't see it is because I went to the theater 2 days before we recorded this podcast, which is the only day it was playing, and showed up for the only showing of it 45 minutes early and tried to buy a ticket. And the lady goes, yeah, that's been sold out for over an hour and a half.
Whoa.
And me and my dad showed up thinking there's no way in hell anyone's going to want to see this. It's like, it's just our interest. No one else cares. And nope, turns out it was completely sold out. So that's the last one on that list.
Holy moly.
What movie that you saw, either for the podcast or not, but probably more not, did you dislike the most this year? Just in general. Like, if you watch any movies on your own or in the theaters or anything.
Well, like I said, this has been a very lean year for me going out to the movies. So it would have to be podcast related.
Well, we already know that one.
Yeah, you already know it. It's Antichrist.
Did you watch any movies like on your computer or anything that, or on
There's a lot of
Netflix that you really hated?
On Netflix, let me check. I'm like watching the Civil War documentaries by what's his name? The
Ken
guy who did
Burns.
Vietnam. Yeah, Ken Burns. Like, that's great.
I think I ruined him by starting with the Vietnam one.
Yeah, same
Because
here. Like,
Vietnam
everything else
has
is
so much media.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much audio and video and news clippings and shit from that era. That it's like, I can't imagine watching a documentary that's like, a zoom in on a picture of a soldier. It's like, fuck, I don't care.
Yo, it feels so fucking whack. You're watching the Civil War and they just have like a picture of a map and some like triangles.
Yeah.
And like they're talking about battle tactics, and then like it fades out and fades into like the triangle slightly moved, and like they talk to these like whack ass old like they just talk so weird, these like the historians. It just feels so detached. Like, I don't want to say it couldn't be any more boring, because it's not boring necessarily, but like
Yeah.
compared to Vietnam, you just go, what the fuck is this? Like,
Yeah, Vietnam was just such a dynamic documentary.
yeah. Yeah, I guess it just have to be Antichrist, I guess. What about you? What
Yeah.
was the worst one you saw this year?
So I saw two movies that I couldn't stand. The first one was called Peppermint. It was with Jennifer Garner, and it was basically supposed to be like Taken, but with a female lead, and it was so bad, and like the writing was bad, the acting was all horrible. Every person who plays a member of the Mexican drug cartel that she is trying to destroy is like the poster stereotype of like what every Trump supporter thinks Mexicans are like. It's just like, oh, it's so fucking horrible. And then the other one was Mark Wahlberg's Mile 22. I mean, I don't know what the deal is, but it was like jingoist propaganda, basically. The fights were horrible. The dialogue was horrible. Everyone in the movie is like an apologist for American military interventionism. It's just like, oh man, it was so disgusting, the shit that they put in that fucking movie. And both of these movies are produced by this company called the H Brothers, which is, I believe, either a South Korean or a Chinese production company, which is aiming to bring American stars more onto an international movie-making stage. And so far, those are the only two movies I've seen by that production company. That they're not doing a great job. Like, really very convoluted plots and bad, storylines, bad dialogue, really overly cut hand-to-hand combat, decent gunfights usually, but just not great movies. Really both so bad that they bummed me out, in fact. Did you have a favorite movie or documentary or TV show that you like watched this year, not for the podcast?
Yes. Favorite movie would be Death of Stalin. Fucking fantastic. You and I have had conversations off the air about how much we like it, but for the audience, this is just a fucking delight, and hopefully we will cover this for the podcast. Hopefully soon, maybe. What do you think? Like,
Yeah,
maybe
just
after
because
the next
it just came out, it might be nice to do it right after it came out, so it's kind of a fresher movie.
Yeah, a little bit of a palate cleanse. I'll try to maybe edit
Yeah.
that one before the other ones. I'll bump it up in line. But that's just a great movie, man. The satire, the satirical comedy in that is just outstanding. The characters are so memorable. Every single actor brought like their A game, I feel like, to it.
And not to mention the fact that if you know anything about Russia under, the Tsarist regime versus where it went in terms of the Communist Party and the Union of Socialist Soviet Republics, like just really a lot of context that you can miss that adds to the humor, I think.
Yeah. God, it's the writing is so tight. The historical accuracy / inaccuracy is just a total delight. Everything that they do, like, a lot of times a movie like that can easily fall on its face if the writing is too whiny or the characters are like, one-dimensional. They have like one kind of like anxiety tone they bring the entire time. But in this movie, it really nails it, man. They got all the pieces together, all the recipe's a perfect success. It's a beautiful, lovely souffle that is totally fluffy, that didn't deflate, that is juicy and moist on the inside. It's great. It's great. Got to try it. Got to taste this movie, man. What do you think about it? How about you? Same question applies. Oh, wait. Also, best documentary I saw this year was Robin Williams, Come Inside My Mind, an HBO special.
Yeah,
really
dude, that was
good.
really good.
Oh, man. I fucking dig that movie. Would also
Yeah.
recommend highly. If you like, even have a passing familiarity with who Robin Williams is, the movies he's in, if you like him even vaguely, this is such a fascinating documentary.
Oh, absolutely.
What an interesting guy, and what a cool life he led, and fucking sad that he killed himself. And this movie dispels so many myths that I had about why he killed himself. I didn't know if it was money troubles. I didn't know if his career was tanking.
He was really sick in the head.
He had like a weird Alzheimer dementia-y thing.
He had what's called dementia with Lewy bodies, which means large chunks of your brain matter get taken up by these bodies and you can't function properly. And it comes on, I believe, with a form of Parkinson's.
Yes, I think that's right. It's fucking tragic. So the whole time they never really covered the why he killed himself, and I'm glad this movie brought that to light, because this whole time I thought it was like poor Robin Williams just didn't have the heart. It was like, no, Robin Williams knew that his time was up and his quality of life was totally fucked from that point on. And I'm like, I get it.
Well, and
now.
also his brain function was totally fucked too.
Yeah, I get it.
He couldn't really do anything.
Fucking brutal.
Yeah.
But definitely give that a watch. And TV shows, Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul, I got into this year. Binged because it was on Netflix. Outstanding. Like, way better than Breaking Bad. I rewatched Breaking Bad because I binged season 1, 2, and 3. And I was like, oh man, this was such a good show. I have to wait for season 4 to be on Netflix, so I might as well rewatch all of Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is like childish in comparison to the writing of Better Call Saul. That's a big statement, but I'll stand by it. Definitely give that a watch. And if we're talking about other entertainment media too,
I would just limit it to movies and TV for now, because I have other questions about other media later on.
Okay, then we will leave it at that. If I can't wait. Were there other TV shows that were great this year that I watched? Oh, Agretzko. Motherfucker. Agretzko is the ultimate black comedy for accountants. Or it takes place in Japan. It's made by Sanrio. The guys that do Hello Kitty and Bats
Agretzko?
Yeah. It follows this little red panda named Retzko, and she works this shitty job as an accountant in Japan, and has a shitty boss and has a shitty life and always has to get overtime. It's basically my life at my previous job, but
damn,
it's just so funny. Her outlet is karaoke, but she just sings this most brutal metal, oh, fuck my shitty boss. It's just really funny. Man, I cannot believe how true to life that show is, and just how enjoyable it is.
And
Highly
it looks
recommend.
On here they're 15-minute episodes, so it's nice and palatable.
Perfectly bite-sized. Yeah, like a Sanrio cookie. Definitely give that a watch if you have a vague interest in how shitty corporate life could be. Man, it just knocked it out of the park, dude. I would highly recommend that to you. It might be up your alley.
Looking at some of the stuff from it right now, it looks pretty cool.
The first episode is a pilot, so it's a little bit off tonally compared to the rest of it. It's still trying to do that cutesy thing, but then it just really delves into kind of office misery later, which is great.
Nice.
By episode 2, just the first one's a little bit more fluffy and cute, but
yeah,
really far out, man. How about
yeah.
you? What movies, TV shows, and documentaries did you watch this year that you'd give a recommendation to?
I have 4 movies. First off, just kind of a brief thing about each of them. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, one of the most inventive movies I've ever seen in general, but also by a long shot, one of the most entertaining superhero movies I've ever seen. If this is out in time and you hear it, try and see that on the biggest possible screen possible, because it will not be the same on television. Like, it is made to be experienced in a big fucking screen, and it's really fantastically done. Blockers. Blockers is a movie about... It's basically Superbad with chicks, but their parents are also trying to stop them from getting laid. It doesn't necessarily have a cast that is so fantastic that you wouldn't think it would be a good idea, but they do such a good job, and the writing and the direction are so delicate, and it's so goddamn funny. Not in the ways it tries to be funny, but like just the genuine kind of humor of the gals, the high school gals, and the, you know, their stupid parents who don't understand them. Annihilation was, I believe, the latest movie by the guy who did Ex Machina. It is this really surreal, fucked up sci-fi movie about... I don't want to really give anything away. It's about a lady who goes into this mysterious kind of force field that's been appearing in the world because her husband went in there to study it and disappeared, and she's trying to find him, but it gets real fucked up real fast, and the movie takes some of the wackiest turns I've ever seen in a horror sci-fi type thing. And then the last one for movies would be Game Night. Game Night is on paper a tentpole weekend comedy for the summertime, but it took me by surprise because some of the writing and some of the comedy is so clever and out of nowhere that I just really think it was an unsung hero of the theatrical release movies this year. Documentary-wise, I would second the thing about Robin Williams. Also on HBO, because HBO just makes really great documentaries. The Andre the Giant documentary was really incredible. Also, I watched the Vietnam War documentary by Ken Burns this year. I don't know if that was actually from this year or whether it matters, but that really impressed me a lot. Okay, yeah, that one impressed me a lot. And then for TV shows, I will echo Better Call Saul, because I watched the first season when it came out, and then I did seasons 2 and 3 this year, and I really enjoyed the heck out of them. Lastly, for TV shows, I think this came out last year as well, but The Punisher. I think that The Punisher is so much better the more you can develop his character, and they kind of slowly reveal bits and pieces about his character over the course of, I think it's 11 episodes, and they show, you know, how emotionally unhealthy he is and how that leads to people getting hurt around him, and, you know, he's this brutal killer on the outside, but he's a shell of a man on the inside, and, you know, but he's also just like a really good person. I don't know. The Punisher is kind of one of my favorite characters in comic books, and so that show really did it for me, and I'm actually rewatching it right now. So
that's Marvel, right?
Yes, it's Marvel's Netflix subsidiary. So Marvel's, I think it's called Marvel Studios, not just regular Marvel. So they make The Punisher, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, and Iron Fist. 3 of which now have been canceled. So yeah, that would probably do it for my things I like best this year that weren't part of the podcast.
I have actually one more to bring up.
Oh yeah,
I watched a shit ton of Craig Ferguson this year.
No way, really? Like on YouTube and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really fantastic.
Man, he's great. He also has a YouTube series where he like asks simple questions or like whatever with his wife, and they go talk to like his celebrity friends or like famous people who like would know about that kind of shit.
Yeah.
They talk to like who's that black scientist guy?
Neil deGrasse Tyson?
They talked to Neil deGrasse Tyson about like probably like the end of the world or something like that. They talked to Tesla's brother to talk about sustainable farming. that was really interesting. I really like Craig Ferguson, and I'm sad I missed his late night career when it was happening. But I've seen so much of his show since then that I feel like I have a really, really good understanding of what made him so popular. And man, I hope he does something else because I will be on board.
I mean, he and David Letterman were the only people to really like. Well, that's maybe unfair. I'll say him and David Letterman and Conan. David Letterman, and Conan were the only people to really spend time trying to innovate despite what critics said in the late night, talk show realm. And all three of them got rewarded for it with, great amounts of notoriety because they all did such an amazing job.
Mm-hmm.
So I could watch him on YouTube all the time, especially like on YouTube. He has a shit ton of old interviews with like him and Robin Williams, and literally it's just a contest to see how hard they can make each other laugh.
Yeah,
like it's basically like fuck the audience, fuck the cameras. We just want to try and make each other laugh, and it's like, oh, it's such a blast.
One of the reasons why I really dig Craig Ferguson is when you are an unenlightened YouTuber like myself, you watch a lot of like Let's Play channels or video game content crap where they're just like sitting around the couch and talking while they're playing games, which is fine, it's fun. But it's very low effort, and a lot of it's very meandering and dithering, versus when you see a pro at work and like you get kind of the same feel that you do when you're watching a Let's Play. You're watching it either for the game content or to like watch a kind of like a couch interview, late night talk show feel, or it just feels like you're hanging out, right? Craig Ferguson does that so fucking well. It puts all these YouTubers to shame,
Oh yeah.
When you watch like real professionals at work, it's something to behold. And I kind of got sick of a lot of that style of entertainment more like within the past couple of years, because I'm realizing how low effort it is and like how much stupid shit you have to get through to sift through to get to like little gems. And Craig Ferguson kind of like brought me back into the mainstream, I guess. And I think he just does it the best out of everybody, though. That's my philosophy on Let's Play.
He's really one of the greats, that's for sure.
Yeah. His stand-up's like not too good, but his personnel.
I've never even tried to watch his stand-up.
It's not very good.
Oh, that sucks.
Unfortunately, but he's a cool guy.
Yeah, he's definitely like really interesting as a, just a person in general in media. I should probably learn a little bit more about him.
I read his book. I have his book. Something America or something, or I don't remember. But yeah, give it a read. Highly recommend it.
Damn.
Yeah.
So, before we go on to other prompts, I'm kind of bummed that you don't have any of these, but I want to go through real quick and give one-word reviews of all the movies I saw in the theaters this year.
Okay.
All right. So we got Incredibles 2. Incredible.
Haha.
Black Panther. Decent. Spider-Verse. Incredible. Venom. Solid. Infinity War. All right. Ant-Man 2. All right. Mission Impossible Fallout. All right. Bohemian Rhapsody. Mixed. Ooh.
What? What's that mean?
They just got like a lot of Queen's history wrong. The acting was great.
Really?
The music was great. The performances were all great. The movie was dynamic. A lot of the history was very, very wrong.
Interesting.
Deadpool 2, pretty solid. A Star is Born, liked it better than I thought I would. Han Solo movie, decent, not great. Ocean's 8, solid, not, comparable to the other Ocean's movies, but good for its own thing. A Quiet Place, decent. Hereditary, horrifying. Vice, interesting. I already said that one. Peppermint, horrible. Mile 22, horrible. Annihilation, like I said, one of my faves. Jurassic World 2, they just need to stop making these.
They've
No,
only made
no
two.
original ideas. Rampage, weird as shit. Isle of Dogs, awesome. Love Wes Anderson. Red Sparrow, horrible. The Spy Who Dumped Me, forgettable. Game Night, amazing. Tag, weird. Hotel Transylvania 3, horrible. So that's all the stuff I saw in the theaters this year.
Wait, can we bring it back to Isle of Dogs really quick?
Yeah.
What did you think about Bryan Cranston's performance?
Who did he play?
The main dog.
Oh, I thought all the dogs were fine. I mean, what are you getting at?
I didn't feel like he was right for a Wes Anderson movie. He was too serious. He sounded all Breaking Bad the whole time, and like
Well, it's hard to get
lacked
out
the
of that
whimsy.
when that got you all your fame and shit, you know?
No, fair. I love him in Breaking Bad, and even like that Pablo Escobar movie that we saw that was kind of shitty, where he's the FBI agent. Like he's a good actor, but I don't think he was right for the role of main dog.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how you could say that, but I just didn't even notice. I was so transfixed by the weird animation that I was not paying a lot of attention critically, like as a watcher.
Also, mad props to the Yoko Ono cameo. Big fan of Ono and everything she does. The Plastic Ono Band, I'm a big fan of, and her philanthropy. She's also a huge philanthropist, big fan. Gotta love Yoko for that. But everyone check out the Plastic Ono Band if you haven't. You're depriving your senses of the genius that is her musical talent. One of that being sarcastic, the other one being totally true. I like her as a philanthropist. She's a really nice lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you notice that she was in the movie?
No, I just saw her in the credits when the credits rolled.
Yoko Ono played Yoko Ono in the movie. She was the scientist's assistant. Her name was Yoko.
That's hilarious.
Oh, man.
That's fucking hilarious.
What else are we on to now?
Okay, so what do you have in the way of other media that you would like to recommend?
I listen to a lot of podcasts and watch a lot of YouTube. I will recommend the podcast that I was really into this year. Recently got into the Joe Rogan podcast. That's fucking amazing. It's great. Like long form, 3-hour interviews with like people who like he knows, comedians, scientists, doctors, like entertainers, just the full gambit of people you could possibly imagine.
Can I say something about that?
Yes.
There needs to be more. Sorry, let's rephrase that with proper English. There need to be more podcasters or television personalities or radio broadcasters, whatever it needs to be, doing 3-hour meandering interviews with people. It is so fucking boring when you can tell that some publicist forwarded the talk show host a bunch of questions they want the person to answer, or they have the perfect anecdote for if you ask them this question. I don't listen to a lot of the Joe Rogan podcast. I've listened to a few episodes because he's best friends with my favorite comedian. But like one of the podcasts I was going to recommend is a 3-hour meandering interview that goes off topic and has tangents, and it's literally just two people talking. It's not, the publicist's list of stuff to ask.
There are podcasts like that, like the H3 podcast, which is more like YouTuber and video game like related people, and that can really suck because they're not professionals. The host is not like a professional, right? He's not as knowledgeable, doesn't have that way, like that radio sensibility and knowing kind of how to steer a little bit to keep things interesting.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan's a fucking pro. 3 hour
Yeah.
long trash can be trash.
Well, yeah, no, it needs to be the right people doing it, but we need more of good people doing stuff like that because,
Yes, agreed.
I don't know, like one I was going to recommend that I'll get to later is You Made It Weird with Pete Holmes. And Pete Holmes is like Joe Rogan, where he's done a bunch of television, so he knows the world of, interviewing and formatting and stuff. But if you put that in the context of, oh, he's just going to talk to this person for 3 hours, then that's a really well spent 3 hours as a listener if you're interested in that person that they're interviewing. Like, I think you sent me the Joe Rogan episode with Chuck Palahniuk.
Oh, yeah.
It takes Joe Rogan a little bit to kind of warm up to Chuck's style of speaking and stuff like that. But once they get going, it's a really interesting, bit of media there.
No, it's
left over.
great. Yeah. That was a really fascinating one.
Yeah.
I got another one to send you. I'm sending it right now. I know you're a big fan of Bill Burr.
I'm a huge fan of Bill Burr, yeah.
His fucking podcast with Bill Burr is so funny. It's so delightful. You will love this one. Sending it your way now.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you're going to love the shit out of this. And then anything with Joey Diaz he has is just great. Like, oh man. Been a huge fan of the Joe Rogan podcast. I'm going to try to go through his backlog and kind of sift through it. There's a lot to learn. It's just a fucking really good podcast, man. And he interviews a lot of comedians. So this should be totally up your alley. He also has a lot of fight knowledge and MMA stuff, which is also right up your alley. He talks to a lot of scientists and philosophers, which is also right up your alley. This is the show for you, man. I don't know how I came across this. I think it was just something I recommended, and man, could not be happier with it. The other podcast I'd recommend is the Dad and Sons podcast. I might have recommended it before, but it's a video game podcast with one of my favorite video game YouTube content producers. And I say YouTube content producers because he makes in-depth analyses of games or things that are happening in the industry. His shit's really polished and insightful and really does a lot of research versus a lot of more surface level content people. So he's great. That guy's channel is Super Bunny Hop, and the guy who does it is named George Weidman. He interviews his friend Liam Edwards, who's he was a game designer, or he worked in the game industry for Rockstar and other companies. So he has really a lot of good company insight. And their other friend, I forget his name and I feel really bad, but he's also really funny. Liam, George, and forget his name. Oh well, but he's really funny. I don't watch his channel, which is kind of why I don't know his name. But they're an excellent pair. They do pretty long podcasts, about an hour and a half, maybe two. And they kind of get into the nitty gritty of video games, what they're playing, what's in the news. And they have some fun shit to talk about. Jimquisition, always a big fan of. Jim Sterling is a huge pundit of, or a huge advocate of consumer rights and hates the scumminess of the AAA game industry and kind of the corruption of corporate culture in general. So he speaks to that sensibility of me. His reviews are oftentimes scathing and honest, which is hard to find. It's not cruel, because he's not doing it to be mean. He's just honest and doesn't get paid off by the companies to write glowing reviews or 8 out of 10s all the time. You know what I mean? He realizes the the hypocrisy in the business and doesn't subscribe to it. The game industry is very tepid with him because he's too honest, and it's really refreshing versus a lot of the shills out there.
Yeah.
His podcast is great. His channel is also good. A couple others, actually, I want to give a shout out to. There was a channel called Extra Credits that was about, they did, subjects about teaching people about the game industry, game making, game philosophy. That was really good. It was done by a guy named Dan something or other. But he was great. He left his own channel, which was doing excellently, mind you, and even being taught in video game schools, to do his own thing, because he was a game animator, still is an animator, and he has like a whole channel about like game animation and like why things work, why things don't, and as well as like a Let's Play channel that's just really delightful, also long form. And him and his wife do Let's Plays that are really fun. He's very Pixar-y, if that makes sense. Like, he has a warm personality, very fun to watch and listen to, and he has a lot of really good insight on like animation and the way things are made. So, giving him a shout out. Another one is Do Not Eat One, which is a YouTube channel about city skylines, kind of explaining like city planning through the medium of city skylines, because he's a city planner. Some of his standout ones would be like, he talks about the problem with parking and demonstrates it with like city skylines, like the parking requirements for different buildings and like how fucked up it is when like there's just a whole bunch of empty places in like sprawling cities when they follow the parking code, and then like not having enough. Talks about gentrification. His episode about gentrification is amazing. He leans a lot toward the socialist side of things, which is fine. His use of socialist definitions and terms in just his like regular eloquent speak is really funny and kind of charming. It's like Red Letter Media. It's like if Mr. Plinkett did city planning reviews with city skylines. It's pretty great stuff. Definitely give that a shout out. And yeah, I think those are the standout podcast YouTube stuff off the top of my head. There's a lot of content there. So, but yeah, most of my time spent is like listening to that stuff at work, or when I'm playing games, having that on as background noise. So I do consume a lot of podcast media and the like. So give that a look. Are we on the topic of podcasts or just things in general? Because I probably have like one game to recommend.
We can do other stuff we can do podcasts first and then do other stuff afterwards.
Okay. That would be my podcast / YouTube stuff. My YouTube stuff is basically podcast stuff, really, when it boils down to it.
Yeah, it's like long form, less targeted content, but with specific parameters to it.
Yeah, and actually, the way you define it, I'll give out one more. There's a channel called Rare Earth I really like. It's done by like a Canadian guy. He does like little short documentary things, but he goes all over the world and shoots stuff. He had a series about like in Japan. He talked about like the birth of the Yakuza, the national ethos, and like how the samurai who like got revenge for their master who was like unfairly killed by court intrigue went and took revenge on the guy who got him killed, and like how the court were like, well, we gotta kill you because you broke the law, but we understand that you were doing this out of honor and you did the right thing. And that kind of created the spirit of the Japanese identity of like, yes, we understand that we're honor bound but lawful. Like really, really insightful shit. He's doing a series on Canada right now, which is very fascinating. He makes really cool stuff, I'd say. It gets like a little bit, you get his flavor right away. He has a way of talking that you kind of know, no, and it's always the same. But like, he makes some dynamite shit. Totally worth giving a watch. Yeah. I would also plug him.
Damn.
How about you, Paul? What are you onto in the way of YouTube and podcasts?
I don't really watch a lot of YouTube. Like, if I ever go on YouTube, it's like to watch old, like, SNL skits that I miss, or like stand-up comedy that is chopped up into little palatable bits. So I don't really have a big YouTube anything. I would say it's not even a show anymore, but Monster Factory and Carboys are the only two things I ever really kind of subscribe to on YouTube, and I don't even think I ever hit the subscribe button. Just stuff by the McElroy brothers, who are the creators of, or I think the owners of Polygon. Monster Factory is where they use both mods and character creators in video games to make the most fucked up looking character they can. And then they make fun of it, and it's kind of fun. And then they try and break the game with mods and, console commands and stuff like that. Carboys is the same thing, but it's just cars, and it's just this one game where you have like an open field and you can make shit for your car to do. And they basically just try and like break the cars or break the game, and with console commands and stuff. It's really fun. Podcast wise, 3 that I don't really feel like explaining are You Made It Weird with Pete Holmes. It's long form interviews with spiritual leaders and comedians. They always cover comedy, relationships, and like existential questions. The Todd Glass Show, I think Todd Glass is like the Letterman of podcasting. His podcast is like a truly multimedia endeavor. And he always has a gang of people with him, and usually has a band, and like nothing in that show can be taken seriously because you have no clue how much of it is a joke or not. Wait, Don't Tell Me, NPR News Quiz, just always on my list. I like that show a lot. It's an hour every Saturday. And then the 2 that I really care about, first one is the Jeselnik and Rosenthal Vanity Project. Anthony Jeselnik, I think, is probably one of the greatest comedians who ever lived, and Greg Rosenthal is a commentator for the NFL. They have a podcast as part of this new multimedia deal that Anthony has with Comedy Central, and basically it's them talking about and making fun of news stories, and so far every time I've listened to it I've laughed out loud, which, I mean, I don't think I'm bragging when I say this. I don't laugh easily when it comes to comedy stuff, and these guys have made some really great comedic decisions, I guess. Last one, you know what's coming up. Dan Carlin. The Dan Carlin trifecta. All you need for the rest of your life, if you're a podcast listener, is Dan Carlin's Common Sense, Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, and Dan Carlin's Hardcore History Addendum. Hardcore History Addendum is him interviewing historians about shit that his fans want him to interview historians about. Hardcore History is what it always has been, long-form 4 to 6 hour episodes about historical events, taking into account multiple like first-person sources, or primary sources, I guess they're called, multiple historians' perspectives, taking into account the cultures of the day, the news of the day, really trying to give you a context around historical events. And then Common Sense is a little weird because it is not currently being produced. So Dan Carlin's Common Sense is basically a podcast where he analyzes the political and social realities in which the United States is living, and he actually stopped doing it, I believe, the winter of 2017. But the reason I recommend that is because if you go on, it's on Apple Podcasts, it's also on Spotify. If you go and look up Dan Carlin's Common Sense and you listen to the last like 6 episodes, which are like 40 minutes each, so not even that long of a listen. If you listen to the last 6 episodes, almost all of them are related to the way the culture seems to be changing surrounding the impending and eventual Trump election. And the way that people are treating each other, the way that this election was a shakeup, but it's not from like the panicky, emotional perspective of like some news anchor who, or like some person on The View who's like doesn't really understand politics, doesn't really understand world affairs. It's from someone who's like spent their entire life studying world affairs and studying history and studying the socio-cultural America that we know, and who is just completely baffled by it. So I've been having fun listening to those last few episodes. If you go even farther back, he discusses stuff like, the bipartisan consensus on foreign policy and, like ways in which the system has been forever altered, and maybe when those alterations started, and, what it would take to undo them, and how, far we've strayed from the, kind of the America they teach us about in the history books, so to speak, like how far we've strayed from like the ideals of, the American, or like the American contributions to the world. He's really interesting because he's really, really well versed in history, I guess. So I guess with that, what other media or anything at all do you have to recommend? Comedy specials, books, video games, anything you've been kind of tracking with lately?
Well, I would recommend Norm Macdonald's A Memoir, whatever it's called. Norm Macdonald, I forget what it's called. Based on a true story. Norm Macdonald's based on a true story. Really, really, really good book. He plays a character in his book where he's just like some total egoist, narcissist who doesn't realize how bad he is, in all these different events of his life. You can't tell when it's like fact or fiction necessarily. He's gone on record saying like a lot of it is like embellished, but the truth of the story is there, right? It makes for a really, really, really entertaining and fascinating read. Don't go out and get it, Paul. I'm sending it to you. And
I love Lauren MacDonald, so
you will love this book.
Yeah, I'm really stoked to see what that's all about.
I've read it at least 2 times this year. I listened to him narrate it as well, which is just a fucking joy, because Norm Macdonald is so funny and his cadence is just so delightful. I was also watching his podcast too. He had that Netflix special, which isn't as good as his Norm Macdonald show, which is on YouTube for a while. I guess I'll also send you Craig Ferguson's book, which I was a fan of. It's interesting, man. He had an interesting life. That one's more straight up like an autobiography.
Yeah.
Cut from the same cloth. Norm Macdonald's far more entertaining because it's written for laughs. Craig Ferguson's a reflection, but they're both really interesting. They give you a really good feel of the person behind it. I always read a lot of autobiographies or those type of books. In the way of video games, the standout this year that I played was Cuphead. It's on Steam. It'll probably be out for like the Switch, I bet. It should be out for Switch.
Yeah.
In fact, let me see if there's ever any plans to release it, because they really should. They'd make a ton of money. Cuphead Switch. It's not on it yet, but I think give it time. Currently on Steam, it's, I think, released officially in 2017. It's all hand-drawn animations in the style of like 1920s, early Disney / like Betty Boop style animation. The music is also of the period, like early jazz, swing, with an orchestra.
A great plan and then done. Now go!
Everything that's done is done amazingly, outstandingly. Animations are gorgeous. The gameplay is fun as hell. It's hard. It's a tough game, but it's not super hard in the way of bullet hells, which it is. It's a bullet hell. If you guys don't know what that genre is, it's when a lot of bullets fly at you and you have to dodge them and then shoot back at something, basically.
Yeah, which I didn't realize my favorite game of all time, Enter the Gungeon, is classified as that.
Yeah. So if you dig Enter the Gungeon, Cuphead should be up your alley. And just marvel at the painstaking frame-by-frame animation every single fucking thing is.
God,
This game took like, I think, 6 years to make, because only 2 dudes were working on it. task, basically,
Oh,
to
fuck.
animate the whole fucking thing. And they're like, holy fuck, why did we do this? Because it took so long. But it really stands out for its fucking quality. The gameplay is fun. Everything about it is... Could not recommend it enough. If you ever see it for 10 or 15 bucks, pick it up. Well worth it.
Hell yeah.
Another game I played, I guess, would be a standout is Darkest Dungeon.
You remember our venerable house, opulent and imperial. It is a festering abomination. I beg you, return home, claim your birthright, and deliver our family from the ravenous, clutching shadows of the Darkest Dungeon.
That's an older game, but it's really fun. It's like Fire Emblem in a way. Permadeath characters. It's set in like a gothic setting. Yeah, I guess gothic would be the right way. There's like a blight on the town, and you're reclaiming your old lands. It's like your ancestor opened up like some Cthulhu-y portal that like brought this like horrible curse and plague to the land, and you're going back to reclaim your ancestral land, but you're hiring these mercenaries to do it. And so your mercenaries are your party, right? And so they will die. You'll have to get new ones. It's really fucking sad. I quit after I lost Puppy Mungus, which was my character who has a dog, and he died. And like I lost the boss fight, and I was really fucking upset because my party was great, and I missed Puppy Mungus. Great game. Would recommend. It's brutal though. It's really fun though. It's a great time sink. I think it's worth it. The narration and the writing on it is really fun. For a while after playing it, I just talked like the narrator. Like,
oh god,
just in the weird off things that he would say in the odd old style English. Not like oldie timey, but it's just really stylized. And for a while I had adopted that speak because I was just playing too much of it. But
yeah,
it was fun. I'm the type of guy who's very influenced by accents or way people talk or word choice. And that game I dug right into, and that kind of inspired the way I reflected upon my Sri Lanka trip, which is something I wrote about for my my Instagram. But I did a little bit of writing this year, I guess, and Darkest Dungeon kind of helped me subconsciously develop the language which I used to write about Sri Lanka.
Monstrous size has no intrinsic merit, unless inordinate exsanguination be considered a virtue.
damn, that's
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah, so that has a special place in my heart. So when I think back, which will last longer, my stories, my little blurbs about Sri Lanka, it actually has its roots in Darkest Dungeon. So that's cool.
Hell yeah.
Those are the new games I played in 2018. Most of the other games I played were just like rehashing of all my old favorites, because I have very particular taste, and there's not a lot of games in my genre that I like, which are like strategy, management, business sim, RTS, or like turn-based strategy, those kind of games. So I've just been replaying a lot of Shogun Total War, Civilization, just some other shit. But really, that's just for background while I listen to other shit. I have two background things at once, you know what I mean? But
Sure.
yeah.
That makes
Those
sense.
are the other games I would recommend. What about you, Paul? Oh, I played Terraria too. We played Terraria for like the third time. Great game. Really love it. If you've never played it before, check out Terraria. It's like $5. It's a hugely fleshed out game. It's like got the more crafting depth than Minecraft. It has like the same idea. We can build bases. It's really fun. There are more mobs and stuff. The boss, like there's like a lot more like boss progression in this game that Minecraft doesn't really have. Minecraft is more fun for like building really awesome structures and stuff.
Yeah.
But Terraria, which is 2D, not 3D, has that, but more geared towards like taking down big, scary bosses, which is really fun.
Yeah.
So, have you heard of it, Paul?
No, I never have. I mean, I just Googled it when you said it, but other than that.
It's a great game. It's only, dude, it's $5. Pick it up. It's only $5.
Damn.
Yeah, $5
I
on
might
Steam.
have to.
Any system can play it. I think they're actually, you know what? If you want it on Switch, it's coming out for Switch too, because that's why they're updating it, because they're doing it for Switch players.
Aha.
So I know you're a big fan of the
makes
Switch.
sense. I am a big fan of the Switch, yeah.
Yeah, and that about covers it for me, for old Anson.
Hell yeah.
What about Paul? What's going on in the video game world?
I'm going to add some other things, not just video games, but I'll get those out of the way quickly. I read the book This Is Not Fame by Doug Stanhope this year. If you know Doug Stanhope, you know he's probably the single most fucked up comedian of all time. His most famous bit is about how he helped his mom commit suicide when she was dying of emphysema. He wrote a book basically called This Is Not Fame. It's about all the things that he has done his entire life that were depraved or horrifying or funny or weird or, you know, anything you can imagine. And if you have ever listened to his if you've ever listened to his stand-up, this book provides a lot of context for the stuff he talks about in stand-up, like being on the road and, you know, being, you know, fucking with people for his own amusement as opposed to like trying to sell it later. Stuff like that. Really great book. I've had Wolf in the White Van for about 2 years, and I just read it. It's a book by John Darnielle, the lead singer of the Mountain Goats. A little complicated of a plot. I'll just say read it. It's amazing. And then before I get to video games, last thing that I forgot to recommend earlier is this hilarious manga turned movie series called Lone Wolf and Cub. It is from the 1970s Japan, set in the Tokugawa era of Japan, about this royal executioner who is disgraced and begins to call himself a demon, and he runs around feudal Japan with his son Daigoro and just kills lots of people. It's pretty much like the entire premise of the thing. Yeah, really hilariously bad movies and really interestingly put together manga series. Very popular when it came out, 8 million copies first year in Japan. Yeah. Anyways, so to video games real quick. Been playing Rainbow Six Siege. I don't know how I feel about it. There's a lot of... I like first-person shooters a lot, but there are a lot of really clunky ones out there. And this one seems to be a little bit more on the fun side because its mechanics and its UI are really clean and smooth and stuff. So I give it props for that. The time between plays, though, could be improved, at least on PS4.
Do you mean... how do you mean? How so? I have it on PC.
I just don't like that when the level starts, there's an entire half of the game that can't play because the other people have to set up. And you have to go spy on them setting up. So it's like you're not really playing, you're just taking a cursory look around the level.
Oh,
I don't like that mechanic at all.
For PC, it's a little bit different because there's voice chat. And so the camera setup and the communicational aspect, like the coordination you guys have in game is like crucial for victory most of the time. So
that's not the case on PS4. Most people don't talk at all.
that's a huge hamper on the game experience then, because that's a
exactly.
major part of winning in Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, so I'm in liking that game. Enter the Gungeon. I love that. I love that fucking game so much. I think it's the ultimate, most replayable game I've ever played. I recommend it to everyone. It's on every single platform, and I own it on every single platform because I want to support the developers.
Devolver Digital, let's go.
Yeah, really, like, these guys put so much fucking effort into this game, and it's so good. I can't sing their praises enough. This year, I tried to get into Dwarf Fortress.
Oh, fuck.
It's
Are you
so
crazy?
fucking hard.
Bro.
It's so hard. I gave up very quickly, like practically crashed my computer.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize, what it takes. I also started replaying multiplayer on StarCraft Brood War.
Nice.
Because my computer can't handle StarCraft 2.
Yeah.
But I love that game. I think it's so special to me. It's one of those things where if I win or I lose, I always have a great time because I love strategy games and I love battle mechanics and battle strategy. And then lastly, Zelda Breath of the Wild. I don't think it came out this year, but that is one of my favorite games of all time, and I have made it a point to not go and beat Ganon until I've done everything in the game.
You're a madman. You will
I know,
be playing that
there's
for
so
years.
much to do. I'm going to be playing it forever, and I love the fact that I don't need, I don't need to beat Ganon to continually have a really incredible time playing that fucking game.
You know what? You were talking
up?
about Enter the Gungeon, and I want to pause this now because I'm going to buy it right now. It's on Steam sale. I need to go get my credit card. I just thought you should know because
Hell
you
yeah.
convinced me.
It's incredible, dude. It is a real bullet hell crawler.
Because if you've bought every single console that you can, like the release for Enter the Gungeon, that speaks a lot to me. Like, that's fucking dedication.
I mean, yeah, I bought it on every platform because it is... And I mean, this is coming from someone who's not, like, a big video gamer. Like, if I have free time, I would rather be reading or playing guitar or, watching a TV or watching a movie. Enter the Gungeon is totally different. Like, I'm legitimately addicted to it. I've been playing it for, 2 years if you count all the platforms I've bought it across, and I still don't have all the guns. I still haven't beaten the game in the game sense of the word, and I have a blast every time I do it.
You've not gotten to the final boss or whatever there is?
No, so, okay, it's procedurally generated, and so when you... Basically, the idea is you have to beat the game enough times that you can grab or purchase or, any number of things. You grab or purchase or steal or earn a certain number of things to give a person on the final level, but you usually can't get more than one of them per playthrough.
Huh.
And then over the course of you beating the game several times, you get this item that you're looking for. And then once you have that item, if you beat the game with that item on you, then you can say you've actually beaten the game. But you can do that with one character, and then you will have to do it again with every other character that you play with. And then that can earn you special characters. Then after you play a certain amount, you earn special levels. So it's like you're constantly changing your experience with the game just by beating it over and over again. And it's, there's some things that are the same every time, like you come up with against certain similar bad guys or whatever. But like for the most part, the levels are always laid out differently, always have different chances of different items appearing. It's like totally random. So you could have the best playthrough ever and then have the worst playthrough ever and still just as fun.
Can I recommend another game for you that you might like if you like the procedural generation bullet hell nature of Enter the Gungeon?
Yeah.
Check out Binding of Isaac Rebirth. That was
You're
the
not
precursor.
the first person who has told me to look into that.
Yeah, that's the
Afterbirth?
precursor to Gungeon. I think Rebirth? I don't know which one's the new one. I think Afterbirth might be the newest one. I'm not sure. But
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I found it.
see, I haven't played it, but I've seen enough play of it that I want it. And once it's like, if it's really cheap, I'll get it. But it's right up your alley.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at like screenshots and stuff right now. It looks really interesting.
Yeah, but they say you got to get Rebirth. The first one's okay, but Rebirth is the truly good one.
Huh.
You might like it. There's like some like demonic Christian overtones of like
Hell yeah.
horrible mom who's like overly devout and like is like, I gotta kill my kid for Jesus kind of aspects. I don't know. But the story is a little bit mysterious and obtuse. The gameplay is just like what you described, procedure generated. For a lot of people, this is their I will play this forever till the end of the earth game because there's so much replay value. And if that's your type of game loop that you enjoy, would recommend, would also check out with you. Gotta see if I can get Afterbirth though.
Huh. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's $12.
Oh, beautiful. I could do that. Yeah, so I guess I have a little bit more just real quick to recommend. But I'll guess I'll make this fast. This is not video games or books or anything. This is just stand-up specials. Act Happy by Todd Glass and Kid Gorgeous by John Mulaney are two of my favorite specials from this year. Kid Gorgeous, I think, will be, very seamlessly added into the lexicon of, great things John Mulaney has done. Hard Knock Wife by Ali Wong was really good this year. An Evening You'll Forget for the Rest of Your Life by Steve Martin and Martin Short was good. But you have to be okay with the fact that, like, these guys come from kind of an old-timey comedy tradition, so it reads very much like a Broadway play, not like a stand-up special. And then best stand-up of the year, but I don't even know if it counts as stand-up, is Oh Hello on Broadway by John Mulaney and Nick Kroll. Basically, these two guys are really smart stand-ups. They have really good material that speaks to, the culture and the world we're living in. But Oh Hello is them playing old men who completely misunderstand the culture in which we live. And it's so funny because they have like the inside track on stupid things that you would never expect old men to have the inside track on, but then they can't put together a modern American idiom to save their life. So it's a really fucking funny combo. I think I probably watched that 3 or 4 times when it was on Netflix. Don't know where you could find it now. It might still be on Netflix, but just great stuff. And then Stand Up for Drummers by Fred Armisen was really funny, but kind of the title says it all. It's for drummers. Like, a lot of it's stupid drum-based humor. Yeah, I guess that's all I kind of have to recommend for this year. Is there anything nagging at you that you feel like we should step on or discuss before the podcast ends?
Nope.